Alright, welcome back to the channel. So thanks for clicking on this video. I've been getting some DMs in Discord about like what I think about the jobs and stuff like that. So I'm a ninja player and high elo crystal. Crystalline conflict only. Like this tier list will not be for it will not be for, you know, front lines or whatever. Like I have not even touched that game mode since the new PvP system. If we look at the rankings, right now I'm ranked 23 at 2k elo. So you know, like I'm certainly not the best player. I mean, there are some people who are at 5k elo, but I think we have a good enough ground here, like good enough basis to stand on to tell you like what I think. That I have like I'm able to give you some information, you know, hopefully you find it useful. So when it comes to like climbing SoloQ, pretty much the jobs break down into like 3 different categories. Can I change this? Okay, S tier is job diff. So S tier is like, you know, if you get on a team and you don't have this job versus the opponent team has this job, you might just lose. And you gotta be okay with that. Like, you know, that just happens. You know, like your MMR steadies out if you win often. You know, I've had like bad rough patches, you know, where I lose like 5 games in a row, but then you just win the 5 games back. You know, like it just happens. You know, and as long as your overall win rate is positive, you know, you'll be alright. Sometimes you just get job diffed, and you know that's okay. That's okay. You know, like this is how it is. A tier is no name brand required. So what I mean by no name brand required is like, let me put on some music. Okay, I'll pull up. No. No, it's not. Intelligent. Dude, I was, ignore that, please. Go here somewhere. Alright. Let me just make sure that it's low so my voice is hearable. Okay. B tier is name brand required. So this is like, you know, whether you're in Crystal or in your respective elo, you gotta recognize this player for it to be good. If you don't recognize the player on this job, you might be in trouble. You know, like this is like, if the guy's not a one trick on this job, it's a little, you might lose, you know. But if they are a one trick, then you know you gotta win. You know, it's like name brand required. So no name brand required is like any, you know, you don't care who's playing it, you're just happy that it's on your team, which is like, it's not the same as job diff, right? And we're gonna get into that. C tier is hard game but winnable. So you know, this is like, you're gonna have to take this, you know, I never want to like lose right out the gate. I never feel like I'll lose right out the gate, because you can always try to win. But you know, some jobs you see it on your team and your heart sinks a little bit, like just a little bit. It's like, oof. All right, we got to bring the A game, you know, no flubs. And that's what C tier is. Let me just make sure I'm recording. All right. And then so now D tier, this is like D for devs fell asleep. Q hostage. Like this is like someone's taking the Q hostage right now. And the devs fell asleep on the wheel, you know, like you don't want it. You're unfortunate that you got this on your team. Alright, so let's start with job diff. So job diff has got to be warrior, red mage, and white mage. So these 3 are really built different. Like you can win or lose a whole game just because one team has a warrior and the other team doesn't. One team has a red mage and the other team doesn't. one team has a white mage, the other team doesn't. Now, I have been practicing on an alt other jobs because I don't want to terrorize the queue. And I'll probably bring the alt up to Crystal as well. Because I just want to learn other jobs, but I don't want to terrorize my queue and my elo. Because I'm a ninja one trick and start playing other jobs and grief. So what I realized about these three jobs, like the way they play, they each have like kind of like unique mechanics that are not present in any other job. So for warrior, it is the only job that has a AoE stun that is on a 15-second cooldown and also a gap closer combined with the ultimate. The ultimate, there are no other abilities in the game that work like warrior ultimate. The warrior ultimate is fundamentally built different. You can't block, like Monk can stun someone out of guard. Machinist has drill to hit people in guard, but you can't preemptively block out their guard button. And honestly, like you start a fight with warrior ultimate and the other team has no guards, it's actually a wrap. It's a wrap and a half. You're done. All right, let's put red mage here because I want to talk about white mage first. So white mage, you already know, like if you've played even one game of this, you already know that every streamer, actually not every streamer, let me be a little bit kinder here. A lot of people in general, let's not single out the streamers, let's be fair. A lot of people out here just climb on white mage, because it's ranged, does a huge amount of damage, and it also has like strong healing. I mean, in a game where these healers are like severely reduced in their healing capacity, like GCD healing has kind of like diminished, white mage still retains a lot of on-demand or non-conditional healing. Now, the thing about white mage also is that it also has like a unique mechanic that is not present elsewhere in the system mechanics, like in all the other jobs it is not present, and that is the polymorph. The polymorph is really like the power level of polymorph is like ultimate level. It's an ultimate level ability to usually the tag unpurifiable, like something that does not comply to system mechanics. So you're gonna see that like job diff has to do with like these jobs break system mechanics, or like they counter system mechanics. So like it's not even like a different job would counter them. It's like they fundamentally play against the system mechanics better than every other job, right? So the thing about white mage is that like you actually have a ultimate level ability on polymorph because of the unpurifiable context. Like because it's not purifiable, the polymorph is like actually built different. That's also combined like now if it just had polymorph, like it wouldn't be such a huge issue, to be honest, if it was just polymorph. But also the next thing is the white mage LB is extremely powerful. On average, it will do like 50% of the whole team's life and force purifies out of everyone. And we need to talk about forcing purify. Forcing purify is so strong. Like there are some classes that like really appreciate the purify being eaten up early, and white mage really demands your purify on sight. Like you are so screwed if you don't purify the white mage LB, and the white mage LB is up all the time. It's that is the third thing, so it's like a triple whammy. It's like it has like one normal extremely powerful ability, and then it has also the extremely powerful limit break, and then also that limit break is not it's not funneled by economy very hard. It's like very easy to get it. It's not like there are some LBs that are like super high impact but they take forever to get, but the white mage LB is up every team fight. You never have to worry about it. Alright, now speaking of white mage LB, so we got red mage here. Now the thing about red mage is that we were just talking about how good White Mage LB is. Well, guess what? Red Mage has like a budget version of White Mage LB on a 10-second cooldown. So White Mage does like 50%. It does like 20k damage plus a 3-second stun. Oh, Red Mage, every 10 seconds, you could choose between a huge line AoE that just eats up the whole team, and you could choose between a 3-second silence or a 3-second bind. So we were just talking about how like the 3-second stun is so busted. Well, check out the Red Mage. On every 10 seconds, you demand Purify from the whole enemy team. Like, you demand it, you know? And basically, if you have these three on the same team, it's impossible, because this guy is going to hit you with like his freebie 10-second ability. It's going to demand all your Purifies, because what are you going to do? You're going to fight silence? And then once your Purifies are down, here comes this guy fucking bungaing in with the Primal Rend, and you're dead. It's actually a wrap, just off, you know. And then if by some miracle you stayed alive, now you have to contend with the 3-second stun from the White Mage LB. Like, this combination is like, you need to have a Red Mage on your team just to force Purifies out. You force Purifies on sight, you know. And also the thing about Red Mage LB, has no cast time. Not the LB, the silence, it has no cast time. It's just a GCD button that you press, and it's from 20 yards away, and you don't dash in to do it. So like, Warrior has to put himself at risk. White Mage has to channel. You know, this guy, you just press the button. You just press the button, and like, oh, your whole team is silent. Get jacked. Also, the Red Mage damage combo on Black Shift is outrageous. It goes through guard. Like, the damage over time goes through guard, so like, you have no punishment for hitting someone in guard. And the damage potential if they're not in guard, like, it is like, basically you have like a 70k damage combo every 15 seconds or something on Red Mage. It's like, the damage potential out of this job is like, it's impossible to live once he starts hitting you. It's extremely difficult to live. And if by some miracle you survive, he like binds you and chases you, and it's like a very difficult job to play against. So these are the 3 job diff. You know, honestly, like, if your team doesn't have this and the enemy team does, you're gonna have a hard time. This is job diff. These are the 3 best, in my opinion. This is S tier. Alright, we have A tier, which is no name brand required. We're gonna go with Dragoon. You know, there are definitely some household Dragoon names who are better than the rest, but you know, I'll take a bad Dragoon anyway. You know, like, all he has to do is press Jarrus Gogol, Nastron, Wormwind Thrust. You know, he's doing those giant line AoEs. You know, 20k damage, 10k damage to the whole team. Very cool. Dragoon LB also super cool. You know, like, extremely valuable. And the thing about that is, like, Dragoon is just a damage. It's just straight up damage. The reason why it's not S tier is that it doesn't have any like system mechanic breaking abilities. Like, these 3 classes force you on a system loss. Like, you lose something out of the baseline mechanics. Like, this guy makes you lose your guard. This guy like, has unpurifiable CC plus GCD healing on demand, and this guy just swallows your Purifies. Like, on a 10-second cooldown, he demands your Purify, you know. Also, very good against guard. If you're guarding against a Red Mage, chances are he will still kill you anyway. You know, it's kind of like tragic. But a Dragoon doesn't have anything that like beats system mechanics. It's actually just pretty good. It's good in a like an honest way. You know what he's gonna do. He's gonna go in there. He's gonna do damage, and you know, he's gonna press button. It's all good. You know, it's a little bit like fair in my opinion, and it's still really good. Like, I'll take any Dragoon on my team, and I'll be happy about it when I solo queue. I don't really care about their name. Samurai is the same way. It's a little bit worse than Dragoon in my opinion, because there is some skill required with the Samurai LB. You know, I've seen people go for the 0-piece Sam LB, and you hate to see it in the 0-piece. But, you know, in general, like, a Samurai is just going to get in there. He's going to cause havoc. You know, Ogi and Amakiri is a great team fighting move. Just having that in your team is great. The Ice Bind and the AoE, it's all good stuff, you know. It's just very good. Again, the reason why it's not S tier, doesn't break system mechanics. Like, you can guard against the Samurai. You can purify against the Samurai. you know? It doesn't break system mechanics. And it feels fair. Like, if you die to the LB, you know, that's your fault, you know? It's okay. It's good. And I don't really mind. I'll take any samurai on my team. I'm not really picky. And that's really what a no name brand required is like, yeah, like, I'll be happy with anyone who plays this on my team. You know, I'm chilling. In the same way of Dragoon, actually, we have Summoner coming in. I'm gonna put Summoner in between Dragoon and Samurai because I think it's a little bit in a similar thing. Summoner is just a damage powerhouse. Very low CC. It has Mountain Buster. But compared to Red Mage, it's really not the same in terms of the, like, demanding the Purify, because he has to cast, right? When the Red Mage just hits you with the Silence, it's actually like, you're just pressed, you know? Like, he silenced you, now he's hitting you, and it's like, yo, you're gonna die in 2 more hits, you know? It's really rough. But Summoner has, like, some other counterplay. Like, you can guard against Summoner, right? You can Purify Mountain Buster. You can heal. You can recuperate through Bahamut. It's like a damage powerhouse. Similar to Dragoon. I feel like it's kind of fair. I'm never really upset when I get a Summoner on my team. It's pretty good. I'm never upset. Alright, we got Bard right after. Let me put Samurai. Actually, I think Samurai's better than Summoner. So, I think the 2 melees are better than the ranged here, just because of the kill potential here. So, Bard, it's like a good class. But it's just like vanilla good, you know, nothing spectacular about it. But I'm never upset that I got a Bard. I'm never, like, it doesn't require that the person playing it be like a one trick for it to be good. It's like, it's always going to be useful, you know, you could always trust your Bard to know, like, how to just tab target, press buttons, you know. The LB, like, works on the team. It's like a support-esque LB. It's, like, pretty useful. You know, you can't mess it up. And that's kind of, like, the thing with no name brand required is, like, in general, you can't mess it up. You know, you'll be fine, you know. So, right after no name brand required, we got Scholar and Astro. These two are pretty good healers. Actually, I think Scholar is not A tier. I'll just put Astro, and we're gonna get into that later. Astro, very, like, numbers oriented, very static. You know, you can't mess it up. Your team does 30% more damage, and the enemy team does 30% less damage. You know, you got cards. You got some AoE CC with the slows. It's pretty good. And it doesn't require, like, a whole, like, you know, you don't have to be an Astro one-trick pony to make it work. You know, it's gonna work. You know, the kit is fine. It's like a nice kit. And that's kind of like the running theme with A tier. Is that, like, you know, you're never really upset to see it on your team, per se. You are just gonna be chilling, you know. It's never a bad idea, and you can always work with it, you know. I'll take any of these on whoever, and I'll take whoever on any of these, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't mind, you know, even if it's like their 5th game or like only their 10th game. Like, these classes are, like, so fine, like, so well designed or whatever, that, like, you know, even if it's like a novice player playing this, like, they'll do work, and it's good. And that's the strength of the class, that, like, it doesn't require extensive you know, grinding to get good with it. Alright, moving on to B tier, we got name brand required. So name brand required is like, yo, if you don't recognize this guy who's on your team playing this class, you might be getting griefed. First up, Ninja. So I used to think that Ninja was more like S tier or A tier, but as I started seeing some other ninjas in my queue, and I have to say, you know, it's a very different experience playing against the usual ninja teams, like the usual ninja squad, versus, like, the new up-and-comers who are coming up now on Ninja. Basically, if you don't recognize the ninja on your team, you better be careful, or play a little bit safer, because this job requires intimacy, which is kind of like its weakness, because you could just play Dragoon instead and do like AoE damage and wipe the team, or just play Samurai. But this LB is very technical. Like, you can flub it. I mean, I'm Mr. Rank 23, and I flub it sometimes. Like Mr. Big Elo, and I still, I'm not perfect. Basically, if you look at the rankings in the top 100, there's only like 5 ninjas in the whole top 100. And let me just see here. Like, I counted 5 ninja players total in all of top 100. So I'm not gonna point out who they are, but I count 1 right now, and then 2, and then 3 is me, and then 4. So I counted 4 ninjas in top 100. So, like, the job is definitely possible. I think it's good, but you're in for a little bit of commitment with this job. Okay. Next is Machinist. The reason why Bard is here and Machinist is here is because this class gets stomped super hard, like, if the player doesn't know how to survive. Also, Bard gets a lot of value from like silence and nature's Mane to like purify your ally, that sort of stuff. Machinist is like more of a pure damage class. It has some knockbacks and stuff, and of course it has a chainsaw meme. But I think that Machinist it does require like a little bit more commitment to it to make it work. It's a little bit harder, but there are some Machinists that I recognize that I'm like happy to have on my team, and then if I don't recognize the Machinist, then we're gonna do our best. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Dark Knight is sort of like Warrior, but you really gotta be like a Dark Knight aficionado. There is an art form of playing Dark Knight, and I've seen it. I've seen some Dark Knight crankers when I was climbing, and basically the game plan is you're gonna do like the AoE disruption. You're getting there, you're pumping out damage. You don't really have as much hard CC as Warrior, but you have a lot of like straight up damage and bait potential because of your Living Dead. The way Living Dead works in PvP is it doesn't use the Living Dead icon on your buff bar. So because of that, I think it's like kind of like pretty good to bait people with, because I'll be checking the buff bar and I don't see Living Dead and I just get baited, But over time, that's sort of like cheat-10. People will recognize it. I think Dark Knight is pretty good if he's a Dark Knight main. If they're like rainbowing or flexing or something, then it's, you don't really want to see it, because it does have some intricacy and they're a little bit rare. But when you do see the Dark Knight main on your team, they're usually like a go-getter. They just sit on the point. They never come off the point. They're always like a menace to society, on the point, unkillable, draws a lot of attention, never afraid. Like, the thing about Warrior is that people say like Warrior is unkillable. No, Warrior is more like it's more like it's gonna try and kill you, but on the flip side, he's also very killable. Like, his healing is tied to like life leech and stuff with AoE Cyclone. So like, if you just move out or like you kite him, he's like very susceptible to that. Now, obviously it's more difficult to kite or whatever. I mean, you could say the same thing about Dark Knight, because like, oh well, they're both going to be fulfilling the same role. And I do think Warrior is better at being like the team tank, but there's just something about Dark Knight that makes it like unkillable. Like, it's kind of like a menace to society. But you have to be like a professional at this job. Like, it's very rare that you get the Dark Knight main, but when you do, and it's a name brand Dark Knight, you're happy about it. If it's not a name brand Dark Knight, you just wish he queued up Warrior instead, right? Because he doesn't know what he's doing. Alright, here I'm going to put Astro and Scholar. I'm sorry, Sage and Scholar. And the reason why is that, like, I've played with some really good Scholars and Astros on my team. And, like, I felt like I had infinity HP. Infinity. I'm never dying. Like, I'm monkeying out and I won't die. But then on the flip side, you know, I played with some red DPS, you know, green DPS Scholars and Sages. You know, the healing done is like 0. Like, they just press damage GCDs. You get no value from the healing component of the kit. Now, I know that the new PvP is like they've diminished the healing factor, so you know, healing is like different, and they don't have like the same kind of healing that they used to. But you know, like there's a player difference. When I see a name that I recognize on these two jobs, I feel like very glad. And if I don't recognize the name, I'm kind of worried. And that's kind of like the whole thing about B tier, and that's why it says name brand required. It's like, you know, are you getting the boy on this class? Or are you getting someone who's trying it out? Like, that's really the main problem. Because if you get someone who's just trying it out on any of these, you know, it'll be serviceable. You know, it's not going to be, like, super amazing, but, you know, even a novice Sam can get a 2-piece, you know, like, it's whatever. You know, a Dragoon can still press limit break, you know, it's still fine. But these are, you know, you got a ninja who doesn't LB correctly, or, you know, they start using Mesui early. Like, you know, I've seen some weird stuff, like people Mesui in my face. Like, I'll be playing ninja against another ninja and he Mesui's in my face. I'm thinking to myself, bro, that heal is only 10k. Like, you're about to lose it right now. In like 2 GCDs, you'll lose it. There's a healing over time component as well, but it's yeah, I don't think Mesui is super good compared to Huton, which is an instant 16k shield plus movement speed buff. That one is way better if you're trying to get away and survive. That's like a little ninja tip right there. Okay, C is hard game but winnable. First up is Monk. Monk, you're gonna have to put in a little effort. It doesn't really have any AoE cheese. And if you look at all these jobs, I mean, all the top tier jobs are just AoE cheese. And you got the AoE fucking beam, the AoE rose beam. This is the white beam, and this is the rose beam. You got the primal rend and all this, the unga bunga cyclone. You got the giant ass LB, the line AoEs, the wormwood, the 20k wormwood thrust from downtown. He's chucking that thing at you. We got the samurai LB, you know, summoner LB, you know, bards doing the picking, you know, from ranged. The whole function of like the top tier is just AoE dumpster trucking the enemy team, you know, because, you know, you think about it, you hit them. Let's say your team comp is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, you hit these 2 LBs right here, boom, boom, your life is over. Like, just straight up numbers, your life is over. Or boom, boom, you know, no guard plus you can't guard plus heavenly fall or whatever. Like, you're done, you know. Even the red mage LB is like on the weaker side, quote unquote, the weaker side. It's still really strong, but like it's not the same strength level as these 3. Even the red mage LB, you know, this plus this, you know, you get an easy 3-piece, you know. But Monk has no AoE on its LB, you know, and that's the problem. It's like it's playing like a different game, you know. I think if there was less teammates, like if the game mode was 4 people instead of 5. This would have been way more valuable, just the instant knockout, because Meteor Drive, the short LB, and you dumpster truck one guy in particular, you slam him into the ground. Same thing with Snipe, but also the reason why Snipe is not in C is because Machinist has like good other utility as well, like the knockbacks and the spread shot and the chainsaw insta-gibbing, you know, stuff like that. Monk has like a kind of a finicky situation going on where like you have to stay on someone for so long to get your phantom rush out, so it's like slow in a game where people are dying in like 4 buttons, 2 buttons. You don't want to be doing 9 buttons. But you know, I've won with Monk games, you know, I've gotten monks on my team and we've won. I've lost to monks, you know. It's not the worst thing in the world, okay? It's not the end of the world if you get a monk on your team. It's just like, it's like slightly worse than the other melee, but when we're talking about like trying to maximize the chance to win, you know, it has to go in C tier, unfortunately. Paladin, So the main problem with Paladin is that this is an esports job. This is not like a solo queue job. I think Paladin, if we're talking about like you got teammates and voice, suddenly it's over here. You got teammates and voice, like this shit is over here. You know, you're covering your Dragoon, he's going in. You got hollow ground, you give your team the 50% plus the 50% from the Dragoon. You know, it's nutty. But the problem is that, you know, the chicken heads off gaming of SoloQ, like the Paladin just feels kind of wasted. Like, you know, he's got so much potential. You just can't find a chance to use it properly. Kit's alright though. Like honestly, I've had there's a noteworthy Paladin in Crystal. He's like a Paladin one trick. And you know, I don't think I've lost with him that much. Like, you know, he plays it. He plays the honest job. He's pretty good. So, but like if it's not that guy, if it's not that one guy, the homie, the OG Paladin main, if it's not him, you know, you're kind of upset because, you know, like this is like, it's a hard game. Even when it's the name brand, you know, even when it's the name brand, like you have to wait. The LB on this takes forever to build up. Like he has to wait, you know, it's rough. But, you know, he makes it work. Now, we got Dancer here. Now, Dancer is a little bit of a weird spot because it has to do like the Garen mode as a squishy. It has to pull up with the Garen mode. And that's just not viable, you know. It's just not like the best. Yeah, I've won with dancers, and like, you know, it's like, you know, whatever. It's not a, I'm not upset when I see a dancer on my team. It's like whatever. But, you know, it's definitely not as good as the other two ranged. Like the design is a little bit clunky. You know, charm is good, but LB takes a while, and especially like when you think about like a 0 damage charm that takes a while to generate versus the fucking 20 second, like the 30-second LB that comes out of White Man. It's like, yo, the game just started. Why am I getting slammed like this? You know, it's like a night and day difference. All right, now we're at the Dev D for devs fell asleep, or Q hostage. Now, you know, you hate to say it, you hate to put, you know, I wish there were no jobs in D tier. Like, this is like the don't, D is for don't play this shit in my games. And basically, it's Reaper on melee. What's going on here? You don't want to play, like, I don't want the Reaper on my team, dude. Like, here's the thing, you know, like this game, the game mode is so functioned around speed and always being able to clap someone at a moment's notice. Like, you have to turn the 30% into a 0% on the spot. Like, how do other jobs do that? I mean, you got the melee combo, you got the polymorph, you got the whirlwind thrust, you got the ninja LB. Everyone can do it. Reaper does not have an out of ultimate DPS kill combo. So every other job can do something without their LB. Like, for every other job, the LB is like a spicy add-on. They have a complete kit normally, and then you got like the spicy add-on, the spicy juice on the top, the little extra. But for Reaper, it's like the ultimate is the core concept. So basically, you're missing your core concept like half the game. Only when your LB is up do you get to actually play Reaper. It's like tragic. Similarly, with the LB problem, we have Black Mage. Black Mage, the main problem right here is that the LB is extremely weak compared to the other LBs. You know, making an LB, like the type of LB that it is, I mean, if you ever played a fighting game, it's like an install, or it's like a self-given buff. You know, the LB, a buff LB has to be very strong on a numeric basis or like a system mechanic basis to be useful. But the Black Mage LB is incredibly underwhelming, especially when you have things like Bahamut slamming the whole arena, or you know, Zantetsuken one shots, or ninja resets, or even the Meteor drive like slamming one target for 4 seconds, just like unguardable. There is nothing particularly amazing about the Black Mage LB, and it also has to cast all of its buttons, you know. Well, you know, the casting wouldn't be such a huge problem because Summoner also casts, but like the reward on the damage is just not enough. Like, it's not destruction mode. It's sort of like consistent DPS mode, but this game mode in general does not favor consistent DPS. You don't want consistent DPS. You want the burst. It's all about catching the guy in like the one moment that he slipped. He got caught slacking, and he immediately gets blasted. Lastly, we have Gunbreaker. Gunbreaker is probably the worst job in the game. Worse than Reaper, actually. And the reason, I mean, the main problem with Gunbreaker is that it loses to system mechanics, and it does not fulfill its blue role. The blue role is like, you're supposed to go in there, you're supposed to soak damage, you're supposed to be tanky, you know. Obviously, like they said, they're gonna equal out the roles, so you don't need any roles. But like, you know, Warrior is still tanky, Dark Knight is still tanky, you know, Paladin is still tanky. Gunbreaker is not tanky. Gunbreaker dies just as fast as like a ranged DPS. It is very, very soft. And the second thing is that the LB is unremarkable. You know, like you need the huge juice on the LB, and it's like completely unremarkable. It's like a mediocre AoE damage. You know, it's not that amazing. And I'm never really happy about seeing a Gunbreaker in my queue. Some people have made it work. Props to them. The real Giga Chads are the Gunbreaker mains, of course. But you know, I can't see myself playing it or being happy about getting a Gunbreaker on my team. Lastly, is Blue Mage. It's S tier because it's not in this content. So S is for saving yourself the headache, right? Save yourself the headache from queuing up. Alright, so this is my tier list for Crystal Conflict. I'm open to discussion, you know, if you got some disagreements, let me hear your reasoning. I'm actually not like super hard-headed about it, like, you know, I'm willing to take some position shifts here and there, but I think I got a pretty good here. I think I did a pretty good job. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.